Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Harpie Lady Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for October 2020. With the release of the latest Dragons of Legend Complete series, we were given the new Cyber/Harpie Lady Synchro, and it has been a while since the last update to the Harpie Lady deck, which we will be getting a bunch of reprints in the upcoming Legendary Duelist Season 2, and also just have all the different lost arts, which I know a lot of people have been collecting, of all the uncensored Harpie Lady arts. So I figured an update was due and hoping to one day update my deck as well with all of the different lost art promos as well for what we've received for the Harpie Ladies so far. But it's a very, very fun deck, able to do lots of different summoning methods, including Link Summon, Xyz, and Synchro. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the for the Harpie Lady monsters, I run 3 Harpie Perfumers. This card's name becomes Harpie Lady while on the field or in the graveyard. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add up to 1 spell or trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists the card Harpie Lady Sisters in its text. If you control a level 5 or higher Harpie monster, when you activate this effect, you can add a second card with a different name from the first. You can only use this effect of Harpie Perfumer once per turn. So being the search power of the deck, you really do want to run 3 of this card, just so you have all your options available to you with the search power, and the fact that, obviously becomes Harpie Lady when on the field or in the graveyard. You have plenty of setup with a bunch of other cards we run in the deck, being the main play setup for having a bunch of different Harpie Ladies to go off of. And that, additional Harpie Lady Sisters working well with this card, also giving you the additional search, will keep you with the support you need depending on when you open up this card for your search power. One of my favorite cards for the setup in the deck is 3 Harpie Chandler. You can discard 1 Harpie card to special summon 1 Harpie monster from your deck and face up defense position, except for Harpie Chandler. You can only use this effect of Harpie Chandler once per turn. While you control a dragon-type monster, this card's level becomes 7, and this card name becomes Harpie Lady while on the field or in the graveyard. So what's great about this setup is I'm still a big fan of the rank 7 plays you can do with the Harpie Lady deck, which I'll show at the end of the video. The main combo you can do with the discard setup, and then just also being able to get out your Harpie's pet dragon for that play to go for. So a very, very strong one to rely on as well for that setup, just for the discard of the Harpie card, and then special summoning that monster for the play to go for from there. But even then, if you summon just another Harpie monster, you can go for an easy rank 4 using these cards, or even the Link Summon of our Harpie Conductor, or the setup for our Synchro play into our Cyber/Harpie Lady as well. And then for the last of the 3 for the Harpie monsters, I also run the 3 Harpie Harpist. This card's name becomes Harpie Lady while on the field or in the graveyard, like all the other Harpie Ladies we spoke of so far. And also, with this card, you can only use each of the effects of Harpie Harpist once per turn. When this card's normal summon, you can target 1 Wing Beast monster you control other than this card, and 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, and return them to the hand. And during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can target 1 level 4 Wing Beast type monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck and add it to your hand. So search power, and also just being able to take care of a lot of different monsters your opponent may have, make this an essential 3 in the deck for the easy setup it can do, and the fact that you can easily summon it with some of your other Harpie Ladies onto the field as well. So having that search power and just being one of the more offensive capability Harpie monsters, it's a very, very useful card for sure for that setup. I don't think we got a reveal for a lost art for this card either, but would definitely like to see one of those, especially because I think we've got Chandler, Queen, a good amount of different Harpie Ladies so far for the lost art program. For some of the lower numbers for the Harpies, I also run 2 Harpie Lady number 1. This card name is always treated as Harpie Lady. All wind monsters gain 300 attack. So with this, we run a good amount of wind monsters in our extra deck as well. So just having that boost power definitely comes in handy. And this is one of the cards that will basically take up the name spot for Harpie Lady. They don't become Harpie Lady like all the other monsters we spoke of so far already. They are always Harpie Lady, so you can't run any other normal copies of Harpie Lady. You have to go with these cards, or Cyber Harpie Lady, those numbers as well. If you want to run Cyber Harpie Lady, you can cut down on the number of the next card I am running, which is Harpie Queen, being your search for your Harpie's Hunting Ground. You can discard this card to the graveyard to add 1 Harpie's Hunting Ground from your deck to your hand. This card name becomes Harpie Lady while on the field or in the graveyard. So search power for the field spell that destroys a lot of different spell or traps our opponent opponent may control. Like I said, you only really usually need the one. I have the two in here just so we have the easier search options for our field spell to go into. But if you want to at least one run of this card, you can drop the other copy down for a third copy of Harpie Lady 1 or the Cyber Harpie Lady, which also counts as Harpie Lady. It would take up the third spot for that card in your deck, making it the full playset for Harpie Lady. And then for some of the one-ofs for the Harpie monsters, I run the 1 Harpie Oracle. It becomes Harpie Lady once again while on the field or in the graveyard. If you control a level 5 or higher Harpie monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add one spell or trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists Harpie Lady sisters in its text during the end phase of this turn. So sort of a slower setup than Harpie Perfumer, but an easy special summon for a resource to rely on. Even if we just go for a link summon with this card, it makes it all the better. I also run the 1 Harpie Lady Sisters. It cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned with Elegant Egotist, which is easily searchable in this deck as well. And also just for that setup, giving you another monster on the field to use. And lastly, the 1 Harpie Dancer. I'm a fan of using this card with our Barrier Statue of Stormwinds for an easy setup and search after we search it with Harpie Harpist for the play to go for. But I'll show that at the end of the video as well. For some of the other one-ofs that are not the Harpie Lady monsters, I run the 1 Harpie's Pet Dragon for the special summon with Harpie Chandler. It's a great setup for sure going into the rank 7 plays, which, like I said, with Master Rule 5 not limiting us for the link monsters that we have to summon out first, you can just go for your Xyz plays right then and there in the main monster zone. I also run the 1 Tempest Dragon, Ruler of the Storms. So with this, more special summoning capabilities, just being able to set up this card on the field by banishing wind monsters in our graveyard. And for the fact that Harpie Chandler specifies while you control a dragon type monster, this card becomes level 7. So even if you summon Tempest and then have your Harpie Chandler on the field, those are your 2 level 7s you can use for the Xyz play also. And lastly, the 1 Barrier Statue of Stormwinds. This just helps to shut down your opponent's plays because they can only special summon wind monsters, which aren't as common as a lot of other different attributes that we run in this game. So this being able to be summoned out with this deck quite easily and then not really shut down any of our plays we may go for makes it all the better. And then lastly, for the, I would say, hand trap option, I decided to go with the Psy-Frame Gamma lineup in this deck, just being more of a shutdown for my opponent's plays. If you wanted to put in Ash Blossom and a Regeki, that can be the 4 spots for these monsters if you want to run the Ash Blossom playset, and the 1 last spell lineup being 1 Regeki for the deck. Just player preference at that point. I've been testing out the Psy-Frame Gear Gamma, and I am a big fan of it for this lineup, but once again, going down to player preference and what they would prefer with those cards. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Hysteric Sign. When this card is activated, you can add 1 Elegant Egotist from your deck or graveyard to your hand. During the end phase of the turn, this card was sent from the field or hand to the graveyard. You can add up to 3 Harpie Ladies, different card names from your deck to your hand. You can only activate 1 Hysteric Sign per turn and only once per turn. So with this card, when it's activated, being able to search out the Elegant Egotist gives you a special summon card for Harpie Lady Sisters, but more of this card's setup revolves around the fact that you can search for different Harpie cards with different names from your deck to your hand, making it that much easier for you to have, this monster setup, especially with one of our traps that can easily special summon out a bunch of different Harpie monsters that we may have. And I also run the 2 Elegant Egotist. If a Harpie Lady is on the field, special summon 1 Harpie Lady or Harpie Lady Sister from your hand or deck. The fact that it says hand or deck, so it has to be Harpie Lady. It can't be any of the other monsters, so it has to be Harpie Lady 1 or, the Harpie Lady Sisters card for the special summon for that card, because it specifies where you would special summon these cards from. So remember that when using this card, you have plenty of targets for this card, and the fact that it is searchable with Hysteric Sign as well makes it all the better for your setup to go for as well. And being able to set it up for the play makes it all the better, giving you more and more resources whether you want to go for Synchro, Xyz, or Link Summon. I also run the 2 Harpie's Hunting Ground. All winged beast type monsters gain 200 attack and defense. If any Harpie Lady or Harpie Lady Sisters is normal or special summon, the player who conducted the summon targets 1 spell or trap on the field and then destroys that target. I don't know how many mirror matches you're going to be going up against with this deck, but if that situation does happen, they might try and destroy this card before you can take out any of their back row, but that's what you'll want to at least do. Make sure they have the back row, because you do have to destroy cards when you use this, so there's a potential that you may, accidentally destroy one of your own cards. So have this be the last card you set up if your opponent doesn't have any back row. And the fact that it's also searchable with Harpie Queen makes it all the better as well, having a searchable field spell to go for. I also run the 1 Alluring Mirror Split. We're going for some of the 1-ofs for the Harpie cards we run on the deck. When a Harpie Lady or Harpie Lady Sister you control is destroyed by battle, you can special summon 1 Harpie monster from your deck with a different original name than the destroyed monster. If this card you control is destroyed by a Harpie's card effect or your opponent's card effect, target 1 Harpie monster in your graveyard and special summon it. You can only use each effect of Alluring Mirror Split once per turn. More setup with this card. That's why I like it, but it's a 1-of for that search power. The same with Harpie's Feather Rest. You target 3 Harpie Lady and or Harpie Lady Sisters in your graveyard and shuffle them into the deck, and then draw 1 card. If you control a level 5 or higher Harpie monster when you activate this card, draw 2 instead, and for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon monsters except for wind monsters, which we're not really limited with this deck. It's just a great recycle power if we need more monster targets for our Elegant Egotist, being able to shuffle them back into the deck to be special summoned out. And also the 1 Harpie Feather Duster, fresh off the ban list, and I can't think of a more fitting deck than this one to be used in, especially for the fact that it works very, very well with Harpie's Feather Storm, which we'll go over when we get to the trap cards. And lastly, for some of the other 1-ofs, the 1 Call by the Grave and the 1 Monster Reborn, more special summoning options, and still liking the Call by the Grave setup for our 1-off tech for stopping monsters in our opponent's graveyards. And that is it for the spells. We'll now move on to the traps. I run 3 Harpie's Feather Storm. If you control a Wing Beast type monster until the end of this turn, negate any monster effects your opponent activates. If you control a Harpie monster, you can activate this card from your hand. If this card in the owner's spell and trap card zone is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can add 1 Harpie's Feather Duster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So it's sort of like a revenge against your opponent for the fact that they destroyed your own spell and trap cards. Being able to then add a card to your hand that will destroy their cards come next turn, and then be able to have no fear when going for your summons, being clear of any of your opponent's back row using the Feather Duster that they helped you search out with this card. If not, then just being able to stop their monster effects using this 3-of in the deck. And lastly, for the main deck and the trap lineup, I run 2 Hysteric Party. You activate this card by discarding 1 card to special summon from your graveyard as many copies of Harpie Lady as possible. When this card leaves the field, destroy those monsters. So with that setup, you have plenty of search power to go for with your Harpie monsters. If you get out a bunch of extra deck monsters, then you have Hysteric Party set up for your special summon. With those resources, you have more and more monsters on the field to make use of, depending on the plays you go for as well. So having 2 of this is a great thing to rely on late game, especially when you have those monsters, being able to know which ones you don't want to recycle back with Harpie's Feather Rest and special those ones back onto the field to use for other extra deck summons, let's say. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. Our newest card in the deck is Cyber Slash Harpie Lady. It needs 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner, but for this deck, for this card Synchro Summon, you can treat 1 Harpie monster you control as a tuner. This card name becomes Harpie Lady while in the field or in the graveyard, and when a spell or trap or effect is activated, except during the damage step quick effect, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls or 1 Harpie monster you control, return it to the hand, and you can only use this effect of Cyber Slash Harpie Lady once per turn. So what's great about this card is the fact that you can take care of your opponent's cards just like Harpie's Harpist, but we don't have to rely on any other tuners in the deck, being able to use the setup for our Harpie monsters. But it's also why I like to run the Psyframe Gamma setup, because it's very generic for the summon play. So just being able to get out these cards for the special summon means we can also go into Cyber Slash Harpie Lady. Since we're not limited with the synchro plays, we just have that option available to us and the other monsters to go for as well. And for the Xyz, I run 1 Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon. With this, you need 3 level 4 wind monsters. Very situational, but great to have as a backup in the extra to go for. This card's effects can only be applied and resolved while it has Xyz material. This card can attack your opponent directly, and your opponent cannot target any Harpie monsters with effects or attacks. And during each of your end phase, detach 1 Xyz material from this card. So more of a protection card. Having 2500 defense, it's great just to play and sit on this card, being able to rely on it when going up against your opponent. For some of the other extra deck, I run the 1 Diamond Dire Wolf, Wing Beast type monsters, more destruction plays against your opponent. 1 Lightning Chidori for the wind plays you can do. This one's great for just taking care of your opponent's resources. For the rank 7s, the 1 Draco Sack and the 1 Big Eye, taking your opponent's monsters and giving you more and more tokens to use for your link plays also. And the 1 Tornado Dragon, another wind monster if we are limited, let's play with the barrier statue on the field. The 1 number 41 Baguska and the 1 Abyss Dweller to finish off the Xyz monsters. For the link monsters, I run the 1 Harpie Conductor. With this needing 2 wind monsters, this card's name becomes Harpie Lady while in the field or in the graveyard. You can only use each of the effects of Harpie Conductor once per turn. If a Harpie monster you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy 1 spell or trap you control instead. Being able to take care of Hysteric Sign much quickly for this card to then have the search power at the end of the turn is a great setup for sure. And if another face-up Harpie monster you control returns to your hand during the damage, except during the damage step, you can target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So what's great is if you use this card with your Cyber/Harpie Lady, bouncing a card, and then using your Harpie Conductor to bounce another card on your opponent's field from the special summoned one, it just means more and more cards will be returned to your opponent's field to their hand, including Harpie Conductors. You just won't have it, any issues just taking care of problem cards in your opponent's field because of all the bounce power you have in this deck. And I also run the 1 Great Fly for the Wind Attribute boost, same with Wind the Wind Charmer. 1 cross sheet with all the different extra deck summonings we're doing, Synchro and Xyz. You have plenty of use for this card also. And lastly, the 1 Nightmare Unicorn for more shuffle back plays with all of our different monsters. And as for the go-to play, one of my favorites, like I said, revolves around your Harpie Chandler. With this card, you can discard 1 Harpie card to special summon 1 Harpie monster from your deck in face-up defense position. So depending on what Harpie card you have for the setup, just being able to discard it will then let you special summon out your Harpie's Pet Dragon from the deck, and then making your Harpie Chandler become a level 7 since you control a dragon monster, then overlaying the 2 into your Xyz monster, which most of the time I like to go for the Draco Sack because then you can detach from this card and then also special summon the 2 tokens onto the field, which then can be used for your Great Fly Link play, boosting up more and more of your monsters on the field. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Once again, a very fun deck. I'm glad I was finally able to update the deck, and also excited for the new support we'll be receiving with the, excuse me, about that. Once talking about the cards for so long, it definitely does catch up with you. But also excited just to see, the reprinted support we'll be getting in January for the Legendary Duelist Season 2, and much easier to get Harpie cards as well. But until then, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.